Well, welcome everybody. I'm here today to talk about hybrid messaging, hopefully all unknown to you. A little bit about me. I work for CM Telecom in the London office. It said 160 mobile on my badge and on the presentation, but we've been acquired by CM Telecom. I'm responsible for product development, and we do this in London for one simple reason. Because London is now the tech capital of Europe, maybe even the world, because London even employs more technology people than Silicon Valley. About 750,000 just in London alone. You may have seen this on the earlier presentation by Chris this morning. And one of the things that London we see is ahead of the game is that for years now, we can already use the Oyster card to go on the public transport, and since a year, we're now able to use our bank cards based on a system called contactless payment. You don't even need to register. You can just literally take your bank card, check in. It will take £1 or £2, whatever the trip costs. And on top of that, this might seem like a future thing, but in London, this is widely used. There are 200,000 terminals where you can use contactless payment. And in last month alone, there were 25 million transactions valuing over £160 million. That is already great. It grew in 1 year 300%. It's so easy and makes so much sense to use this kind of technology that whenever I cannot use it, I already get annoyed that I have to touch the keys on the keypad. But it's not why we're here today. I was just showing you a couple nice things from London. But we're here about hybrid messaging. But when you talk about messaging and technologies, you quite quickly start to think about all these complicated systems that will deliver the messages in very complicated ways for you. And I could bore you to death with great technical models. But today I think we should go back a little bit to the basics. Because why do we send messages? It's because we want to communicate. You as a company, you as an individual, you want to communicate, to bring over a message to a consumer. So what is communication? If you look it up in the dictionary, it will say some fancy words, or you pick up some words saying like you want to inform someone and unite people, or actually you want to make things common. Which on its end means belonging to or shared by two people or groups. So it's about sharing a message, and you, as a company, don't want to think about 25 channels you have to take to get a message delivered to your end user. In fact, we're now talking about SMS and Push, because that's widely used today, but this is not even the future. This is actually, you can get all of these today. But Apple sends the messages already to the desktop. Sorry, the microphone is not great. Maybe just turn this off.
Is it still on?
No, I think it's a bit noisy.
Want to use this one?
Yeah, that'd be a good one. There we go. Who needs technology? So it's what I'm trying to say is that it's not important for us as a company to just deliver these messages, but we need to be ahead of the game. Like, where are we going to deliver these messages? And that all our clients will ask us the same things, because you might think, oh, you're just good at sending SMS messages, but we want to be good at delivering it anywhere the user will be. So users, consumers, all of you, are way quicker in adopting these new technologies. I mean, these are just 4 examples of big messaging apps. I mean, the day these apps offered you to message for free instead of paying for a text message, everyone was there. WhatsApp has over 1 billion users. WeChat in China, massive, all growing and been taken over for $19 billion. It's crazy money. But the shift that the consumers made, telecom companies couldn't make that shift that fast, and they were struggling. They couldn't charge for SMS anymore, and they had to find new models. But this is just a screen grab from O2 in the UK. where if you today want to have a mobile subscription, all of them have unlimited text and minutes, because for them there is no money to be made there. It's all on how much data will you use. And then it's, it makes sense, but for corporations, it's a different ballgame. Because if you, as a big bank or whatever kind of company you are, you want to send 1 million text messages, it's not like you can go to O2 and say, now one of those SIM cards and then send them all for free. In the corporate world, in the enterprise world, we still pay for messaging. In fact, that's what CM is very good at, finding the best route for you and maybe the best price, but it's still based on payment. So we have in basis, when we talk about hybrid, 2 channels, SMS and push, and each has their advantages and their limitations. SMS, pretty much 100% reach when we speak about mobile phones, of course. Where with push we're slightly limited. We can both say it's very effective, although with SMS the opening rate is higher than with push. Although I think it's pretty impressive to have 70 to 80% open rate, which means that when the message pops up on your phone, you slide to open it or to look what is behind it. But with SMS, when you talk about high volumes, it could be quite costly. It's not very interactive. Push, it can do so much more, and the things we can do now are not that interactive at the moment, but we'll get much more interactive. Both quite secure. A little other thing I found about push, it's not so much the cost reason why you should choose it. If you have an application, and it's called the retention rate, which basically means that if you use push in your application to maybe re-engage your users, because in the reality, where in the beginning, if we would have an application and you would have 1 million downloads, it's not very clever to just think about downloads, it's obviously about the usage. And in fact, in 6 months' time, usually 80% of your users are lost if you don't re-engage with them. So you can see here the effect of push. You could retain at least 1/3 of your users, which is pretty impressive. So to sketch you a little current situation. If you have an application, but not all of your users have an application, you might just choose to just use SMS or just use push, or maybe all of them, because you obviously want to reach as many people as you like. And each of these platforms, you could almost compare them to telecom operators, because they have a gateway you have to connect with. They have their own standards, their own specifications to send a message, their features. And this is only today. I mean, this is still new in a way. This could be 20 more if we have cars and fridges we have to send messages to. To give you a little example, I'm an HSBC user. I use their app. They send me some news and some messages from time to time. But then they use SMS to talk to me personally, because they think that's a more secure way, because it's a validated phone number. It's it's connecting to a phone number is seen as a more secure way of doing it than directly to an app over the internet. But it's useless and it's costly, of course. For Airbnb, I have a spare room in my house and I rent it out. And I noticed that every time they send me a message, they send it through the application and then through the SMS as well. And I know why they do this, because it's a travel app. You know, I might be in another country, I might not have roaming data, I might not get the push message. So why send both? It seems like a little overkill. But I know why they do it, because they need to speak to each channel individually, try to get the message across. I might not even have the app, so that's why I need to get the SMS. So why would we choose to have a channel or do both of them? And now I'm back to our solution, the hybrid messaging. I think in our vision, we go back from having a message and trying to get it to the person. And you should not worry about what the channel is. If it's the telecom operator, Apple, Google, Microsoft, and who else will be there tomorrow or next year. We make the decision. We are the platform that can send the message into the right direction. So how does it work? So today we have push and SMS as the foundation of this system. You send a message to our gateway. Does the user have an app? We send a push message. Not an app, we send an SMS. Or the push is not received, we send the SMS as a fallback. And that's how we deliver. And that would look something like this. If you have the app of Booking.com, which is one of our clients, we send a push message. If you do not have the app or you're offline, you get an SMS message, which is a nice, clean way to do it. And then, let's say 50% of the time it could be cheaper because we deliver it as a push message. And the push message allows us to do more things. Since iOS 8, we have this feature called interactive push, which allows us to add, in this case, 2 buttons with an action, which could link directly into the app. So I have a flight coming up back to London, and I would have to get the message from BA telling me that I have to check in. I can do it straight away. Click check in, goes to the check-in page into the app. Or I can snooze it and it will remind me in like, say, an hour. Or you have a shop, you have a discount coming up. You can ask the user to buy it straight away. Or to remind, to redeem, or to vote. I know I have a very iPhone-centered presentation, so I got an Android in there as well. Actually, Android was already possible to do interactive push about 2 years ago on their Jelly Bean release. So in this case, let's say you're on a TV show, you can vote straight away, which makes it easier for the user to give an action back to the message, and it's harder to ignore it. I say things like, if the user has an app, we'll deliver it as a push. If they don't, we will send an SMS. But how do we know if they have an app? Obviously, that's not automatically. There are 2 ways of doing it. One is an SDK, which means software development kit. It sounds all very technical, but it's in fact a little library you can implement into your app. And we have this library for iOS and Android, and soon for Windows Phone. What it does is it verifies the phone number, a bit like WhatsApp. So you fill in your phone number, tell the country you're in, we send you an SMS with a PIN code, you type it in, we verify the phone number and connect it to the app. The app will give us a device ID, a complicated token that the user will never remember, but we'll save it. And from that moment on, we can play this game where we send messages to the phone numbers, but if the user turns out to have the app installed, we deliver it as a push message. Now, one problem with push messaging is that it does not have an inbox like an SMS. Because if you see a push notification and you open it, it's gone. Or in most cases, it just goes away. So our system then stores all the messages online, and the SDK is able to display in some sort of an inbox. So you can save the message. But what if you don't have an application? What if you are not interested in investing 50,000 euros for an application, or your business has no interest in application, but you would like to deliver your messages to an app, because it could save you a lot of money, or it could be faster, or more efficient, or more modern for your brand. We have this off-the-shelf app called Notifier. We developed it for iOS and Android, and all it does is being an inbox for these messages. It's just another messaging app, although it's one-way traffic. You're not able to talk back. It's just the receiving end of a push notification. And to make it more interesting for companies to use this, you can have a branded channel. So let's say I'm using Study Call, even though I'm not studying anymore. They would send me a message via SMS saying that my class is late, or some changes in the schedule. But I have the Notifier app installed. I receive the message as a push notification. I see that I have a new message in my study call channel, and I can see the messages like a normal messaging app or email. We had to add some more features to this app because Apple thought it didn't have enough features for the App Store, which is fair enough because they protect their ecosystem. So we added Mail to Push, which turned out to be sort of a little hit for the Android users. Seemed quite fussed about it. It allows you, so once you sign up, register in this app, you get an email address, which is basically your phone number at notifier.com. And if you send an email to that address, the message is sent through to this app as a push notification, which you could use maybe for monitoring purposes. If you have an IP camera that can send you an email alert when someone breaks in, but you're not on your email all the time. You just fill in this email address, and then once someone breaks into your house, you get a push notification, which could be quite useful. Although it's slightly more of a gimmick. But we're intending to add more features to it, because this app could be more than just receiving notifications from your doctor or the companies you're signed up with. It could also be interesting to receive maybe notifications about your favorite football club or when they score a goal. Some things about security. There's some interesting things if we like to use push or notifier to send a one-time password, for example. Let's say you have your doctor and you have to use a system and it requires a two-factor authentication, which means you have to type in your username and password, and then it sends a PIN code to another device, in this case to your phone, for example. But what if your phone receives the message, but you have the app installed also on your tablet maybe, and the code is displayed on the screen? It's not very safe. So we do something called masked messages, which means basically it will just say, notifier send you a message, but you cannot see the content. So you have to go into the app, hopefully your phone is protected with a PIN code, and then you can see the message. Since we use obviously the internet to deliver push messages, we can encrypt them, and our SDK can decrypt them, so we can make it extra secure. And that is how we can use Notifier. So slowly coming to an end, summarizing. So why would someone use hybrid? Well, first of all, it's one gateway, so it's cross-platform. You don't have to worry about integrating all these systems or systems to come. You can just send it to one gateway based on phone numbers. You have 100% coverage. It could be faster in some ways. So also notice that when Airbnb does send me both messages, the push is always 10 seconds earlier. It could save you a bunch of money, which is interesting, obviously. And I think it's quite good that we validate the phone numbers, which makes it, even for a bank, for example, more safe to send actually a message to your app, because it knows it's you. We have SMS Fall Back, which if you're really keen, or really, for you it's really important that the message is in fact delivered, you can always have the SMS fallback. Although in 99% of the times we can guarantee that the push is delivered as well, because there's an automated retry service for about 72 hours. And well, like I said, masked, encrypted, for extra security purposes. So even though we made up the name hybrid messaging, I hope obviously in the future that we can find it in the dictionary and it will look something like this. Electronic messaging system that is powered by more than one technology, or as we like to call it at this point, an intelligent combination between SMS and push. And that was my presentation. And any questions, welcome.